Three, two, one. I believe we're live. Hello, everyone. What's up? Say hi, Pete.
Hello, I am here at Casa Phil because the internet at my home sucks balls.
Yeah, guys, we just came back from Children's Day party. In case you don't know, here in Brazil, there's a holiday called Children's Day. It's actually a Catholic holiday. It's like Nossa Senhora da Aparecida Day, but I think she was a patron saint of children or something. And it's really an interesting holiday because everything child related here involves a lot of drinking.
Drinking and dancing like a horror, apparently.
And dancing like whores. Yes. No. Listening to horror music.
Yes.
Not necessarily dancing like whores. At least the kids don't dance like whores. So yeah, watch what's that movie we were talking about? Cuties.
Cuties.
Yes. So you might get a view of that. So we went to this favela, which is a Brazilian kind of ghetto. That's the kind of name they use it for down here. And just had a good time because I got family down there. And I invited Pete to come down, and we were just like, there were fireworks, and there was a lot of not social distancing happening.
No, there were like 1,000 people on the streets not wearing masks, hugging each other.
No, that's when Brazil was a trip because I was telling Pete, like, where else in the world is this gonna happen? We got a bunch of kids like from like 5 to whatever, 15, 16, and then you got the older people too. And they're playing this very hardcore, like, I want to put my dick in like type music. It's like that. What was that band from the 1980s that started out a whole Two Live Crew?
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
It's like you're listening to Two Live Crew, and then you got the
Let's Get Buck Naked.
Yeah, no, it's rougher. It's way rougher than that with the lyrics, man. It's like, the putaria, which is just all the sex and all like, let's just get horny and fuck. So
but you saw those girls like totally shaking it.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So
doing the Latino booty shake.
But the thing is, you got little kids there. Yeah. They're like 5 and 6 years old. But
they were having fun.
They were having fun because they were jumping on those little jumping air things, whatever those, I don't know what you call them.
The alligator ride.
Yeah. And then you got fireworks going off like it's New Year's. I recorded it on my phone, like intense fireworks going off. I don't know if they hired like a professional company to do it, but it looked pretty good. You got drinking going on, and you got these motorcyclists going up and down. So apparently that's like something fun to do. Just ride your motorcycles up and down.
And make as much noise
as possible. And then the cops show up, and they got their tear gas guns out because apparently somebody must have phoned in because they're like, there's no social distancing
is not happening here.
I know. And you just heard a beer pop open because that's what we've been doing is just drinking, and enjoying Children's Day. So God bless all the kids out there who were having fun, by the way. They really were.
Yeah. It looked like a great time for the whole family.
It did. That's the thing, man. These people know how to have fun, and I have a whole lot of fun. I was telling Pete I would live there if it weren't for the noise. It's just so noisy with the bikes and everything. But otherwise, yeah, if you're in a Brazilian favela, you're having a good time for the most part. Oh, we got a viewer, so hi, whoever you are out there. We're just talking about what we were doing before we came on, which is just getting wasted, getting drunk. So then I told Pete, hey, as long as you're in the neighborhood, you might as well just come over to my house and we'll record from here. And that's exactly what we're doing. And we're going to be talking today. We're going to be talking a lot of Batman today because Pete just saw Batman the Killing Joke for the first time, which is crazy. I thought that you would have been on that. That's a classic.
Yeah, no, I remember Mark Hamill saying he wanted to make that movie, and I was like, man, I hope that happens. I was like, what? It happened 4 years ago?
Yeah, no, but I'm on all these DC animated movies. Like as soon as they come out, I watch them because they're usually very good. Okay, I mean, I'm going to talk about Batman: Death of the Family. I wasn't too pleased with it, but there might be a reason for that. We'll talk about why. But they're usually pretty good. And I usually say whoever's writing these movies, that's who the DC like live action universe people need to hire
Yeah.
Because they're really damn good. Way
But the
back in
thing
the
with
day.
these animated movies, though, is that it's so much easier to adapt these comic book stories as an animated film
Yeah.
than it is as a live action film. I mean, like what was it? Year One, The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
Those movies were like panel by panel, the comic books, and it works as an animated film. But as a live action film, I don't think it would work as well.
Yeah, I agree because when you're doing live action, you gotta add extra stuff. You gotta add subplots. You gotta add secondary characters, which you don't necessarily need in a comic book. I mean, you have them, but it's not as drawn out, So if you got an animated movie, you can knock it out in 80 minutes, 90 minutes, and just stick to the main story.
Right.
In a movie, feature film, you got to get that up to at least 2 hours. So you got to buffer it with a whole lot of extra shit. So I understand, but still, the backbone that they're working with is pretty damn good. And these animated movies are pretty decent. And then what? And then you watched also 20th Century Women, which I'm curious to find out about. Looks like a chick flick.
That's the ironic thing. Despite the title, it's really not. It's mostly about a boy becoming a man.
And well, we'll find out how that happens when we get there. And then, guys, we are gonna talk Kingdom because I finally got around to watching Kingdom, and I know Pete had spoken about it a couple podcasts ago, but the audio just was so bad towards the end, so we feel like we should give this one a second shake. And it is unbelievable. When we get there, we'll just go into Kingdom heavy. Yeah. Pete hasn't even finished it yet. I binged it in 2 days. It was so good.
I still have 3 episodes to go in the second season.
I fell in love with Kingdom. I thought it was so cool.
It's bananas. It is fucking bananas.
But we'll get to it. First, let's do some quick picks. And I'll tell you, what I saw this weekend was Walking Dead season finale. Did you dig it?
Yeah, I liked it. Not a lot of surprises except for, the stormtroopers showing up at the end. But Maggie's back. They tipped that hand very early. They showed your face in like the first 5 minutes. And so right away you knew she's going to make the last minute save. But it delivered the carnage that you wanted. It was just 6 months, man. It wasn't really worth waiting 6 months for.
And she was with this like Rey Mysterio type character.
Yeah.
With just with some sharp objects to cut people up with. I dug it. I think it hurt that there was this long space.
If it had come immediately like when it should have, it would have played so much better. But like you can't live up to that type of build-up.
Exactly. I think that's what because I was even a little bit lost because I thought I had seen the season finale last week.
Right.
And I didn't. And I was like, well, that kind of ended weird because the episode that I saw was like that last one where he goes into the apartment or whatever. He sees his old records. He calls up the horde. And then I was like, okay, total cliffhanger. I guess next season is going to be the Whisperer's War, finally. And it's like, no, it's 40 minutes of this episode.
Yeah.
I was watching a few YouTubers talk about it, and it seems like a consensus criticism that I heard, and I kind of agree with it, but I think it's like what Pete said. The time that we waited for it hurt it a little bit, is that it felt short. It felt like it didn't feel epic.
Yeah.
So it helps, I think, if you go back a couple episodes, 4 or 5 episodes, and watch the build up, and I think it fits a little bit better into the story. So you can take last week plus this week and watch it all together. It feels slightly more epic because I remember the Whisperer's War in the comics, and it was way more epic than this. Like this seemed like
it just Negan played a much bigger role.
Oh yeah,
and Carl was a huge part of it, and there's no Carl in it.
Yeah, exactly, and even the death of
Alpha.
Beta.
Oh right,
was a little it was quick. I mean, you blink and you miss it. Like,
Yeah, I was expecting this epic showdown between
uh,
Daryl and Beta, and it's like, no, man, he took him out.
yes, he just took them out quick. Which, in a way, it's like thank God, because sometimes they take so long to kill these villains in The Walking Dead. Like, remember when they were like they went to Negan's compound back in season 7 or 8, and they're looking at him. They got guns on him, and they don't shoot. I
Yeah.
know. Craig, which we always mention on the podcast, he's our honorary podcast member. He said that's when he stopped watching the show. It was like when they got the guy in sight and they don't shoot. Why? And then he stopped watching. And I agree. Like for me, those were the worst seasons. Seasons 7 and 8 were just
Yeah, and it's a
dreadful.
shame because they were the best stories in the comic
I
books.
know Negan was still is one of my favorite villains, and I think I've said this before in a podcast somewhere. But I actually had nightmares when I
But
read.
he's not even really a villain in the comic books. They made him
But
way
he's
worse in the TV series.
No, but he's scary in the comic. Like he's imposing. He's just like just physically the way they drew him in the comics. Like
Yeah,
he was a presence, even when he wasn't on
and the
the.
fact that he's slightly unhinged. I think
Yeah,
it's not like he's an evil person. He's just like not all really there.
exactly. And he just was this shadow that loomed, even if he wasn't on the panel in the comic book. Like you just felt his presence. Like in the show, it just dragged, and I didn't always feel his presence. And they made some changes. I know when Angela Kang, God bless her, she really saved this show because she brought back a level of realism to the show that it was missing. It was getting too comic bookish in a bad way, like more superhero ish. Because
Right.
it is obviously it's a comic book, the original, the source material, but it's still grounded in some sort of reality in the comic book. And I was feeling the show was getting like that, like when they had that final showdown, it felt like the Avengers, like the saviors coming from one side, the Rick's camp coming from the other, all with their weapons up. And I was like, so I'm glad it got grounded. So if you have given up on The Walking Dead, I would say start at the reboot season, which was season 9, which was really good. Probably one of my favorites in a long time.
It had a genuine horror element.
Yes, and I thought this season was a little sluggish, but it was still good. It picked up towards mid-season, and I'm excited for how it's going to end, and the fact that they brought a certain level of realism to it. And I thought it was a pretty decent season finale. I thought it was really, it was workable. Unlike you, though, I need more people to die. You said there was a lot of carnage, but for me, there wasn't enough. Like, not enough people are dying. I don't know if they're scared to kill off major characters
Yeah,
now.
no major characters died except for the villains, but yeah, there was a fair bit of carnage.
I guess for me it wasn't that much. It kind of just went real quick. But I'm excited for the final season. It's going to be 24 episodes over 2 years. So season, I guess 12 is going to be major. We'll see how closely it follows the comic book because I thought the end of the comic book got a little boring with like it seemed like it was going to be interesting that whole Commonwealth plot line, but it was dragging. So I think they made the right decision in the comic book to end it, and rightfully so. They're making the right decision in the show, but maybe they'll tweak a little bit and make it a little bit because it got into like this whole political thing, which I mean I like, but I don't think Kirkman was the best guy to write like political commentary in a zombie. Because remember when they went there, like everybody was given homes
I
depending.
I haven't read past the Whisperer's War
Oh
actually.
goodness, you should. I mean, it's okay. It's not great, but the thing with the Commonwealth is when you go there, it's like this really nice society, but everybody is housed according to what they were before the zombie apocalypse. So, for example, Michonne, I think, is one of the first people to find it. She used to be a lawyer, so she
Right.
gets this real nice house. And of course, because everywhere Rick and his company go, they have to start shit. So Rick is like, this is not fair. This is not socially acceptable. Everybody works together. So there's this friction and it seemed like a nice idea, but I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, oh, we're going to go through this shit again, because they always, wherever they show up,
Yeah.
they fuck things up. Things were going fine in the farm till they showed up.
Yeah.
Things were going fine at the fucking prison until they showed up. Alexandra seemed to be running okay until they showed up.
Yeah.
So it gets to the point where like maybe these guys are the actual villains
Yeah.
of the show, like because things were running okay before they showed up. So, but watch it, guys. I would say those because I know the ratings have dipped so much, but
Yeah, it's a miracle the show's still on the air because like nobody is watching it anymore.
you know what it is though? It's demos. It still does well in that demos of like 18 to 34 or whatever it is.
I would think it was like Gunsmoke because Gunsmoke was like the longest running television show of all time before The
Mhm.
Simpsons. It was on the air for like 26 years. And like the last like 7 to 8 years, it had terrible ratings.
Mhm.
But it turns out the head of the network, it was like his favorite show. He's like, we're not fucking canceling Gunsmoke.
Oh, that could be, but I think for this is that even though it's what I mean at its heyday, Walking Dead was averaging what 14 to 16 million. Now it's averaging like 3 to 4, but it's still a lot considering the changing landscape of television. Like nobody
Right.
watches real TV now. Everything's
Exactly.
Netflix, Amazon.
Exactly.
So it's still the number one rated cable TV show,
Yeah.
even with those low numbers. So, I might as well give it a proper ending and not cancel it. But you kind of sense that the end was near. I'm surprised Fear the Walking Dead is still on because I don't
Yeah,
know
me too.
anybody that
I've
watches it.
that one I'm probably not going back to for the next season.
Yeah, I quit on season 5. I thought season 3 was one of the best ever of all the series.
Yeah, me too. But when they 86 Kim Dickens,
Oh
they
yeah.
killed the heart of the show.
Exactly. She grew on me. I didn't like her at first, but then she really, really grew on me. And they killed her son. He was really good too.
Yes, yeah,
The blonde boy.
they killed almost the entire original cast. They killed
Yeah.
the Maori guy.
Yeah, and they were trying to build a show off of Morgan, which is a character I can't stand because he's brooding all the time for like no good reason. So I don't
Yeah.
know how that show survived. I got to the episode where there was a storm, and then I just never watched part 2. Like I didn't care, if they survived the storm. Apparently they did. So we'll see. Maybe I'll watch it at some point after The Walking Dead is really done. But and you said you watched the new one, right? Did you watch the new?
I did. I watched the first episode.
Did you dig it?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. The big criticism of it, it was not well received by critics.
Mm-hmm.
And the big criticism seems to be that it's like it's The Walking Dead 90210. It's like it's teen drama.
Get a little closer in case your audio is not coming out. Sorry.
Yeah, basically the complaint seems to be that it's like teen drama, but you know what? I'm okay with that. I think it's a different perspective. I have been known to watch the occasional teen drama from time
Oh,
to
he
time.
loves this shit. It's incredible. What was that show you liked? Riverdale?
Riverdale was really good, yeah.
And now you're on 90210.
Yeah. The story, it's basically about two sisters whose father has been taken away on some top secret government project. And it does actually largely seem to revolve around an effort to build a government, like to restore real government to the world. And these two sisters are trying to find out what happened to their dad. And, I think that's a potentially interesting story. I don't know that it has a lot of legs. Like, I can't see it going for very many seasons. But for as long as it lasts, like so far, it seems like something that's worth checking out.
We'll see. I mean, AMC is banking on this Walking Dead extended universe, so we'll see where it goes. I didn't watch it, but I'll try to check it out at some point. I mean, I like the whole Walking Dead universe. I think it's pretty cool what they managed to do with it. But yeah, guys. Okay, so that's our quick picks. If you want to watch that, I again give it another chance. Watch from the reboot season. You can. You don't have to watch everything that happened before to make sense. Like they beat up the saviors. Negan is in jail. That's pretty much all you need to know. And then it just jumps about like 5 years later. Oh,
Yeah.
and Rick is in Rick. No, he started season 9, right? He got lost in the middle of season 9.
No,
Or did it start out with him already gone?
Season 9, I believe, started with him gone.
No, it didn't, because the first episode was when they were going into the museum to grab the canoe or whatever it was. So he was definitely at the beginning of season 9. I think he left like mid-season.
Okay.
Something like that, when the bridge blew up. Because remember, the whole point was like they're trying to build this bridge.
Yeah.
And he was definitely there. He left like halfway through. And I guess he'll be back for this last season. I think he'll be back. I think he's in the Commonwealth. That's got to,
Well, they were supposed to make like a bunch of Rick Grimes TV movies.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. So,
well, coronavirus. Probably.
Yeah, but it would make the most sense for him to be in the Commonwealth, because in the comics, Michonne finds her daughters in there, and that's why Michonne ends up staying in the Commonwealth. So that's probably where he is. Like, he's just chilling in the Commonwealth. But anyway, guys, let's get to Batman.
Oh, right.
The Killing Joke.
Yeah.
What'd you think of this one?
Well, first of all, I have to say that this is probably one of my top 3 favorite Batman stories ever. It's definitely, it's the story that the Joaquin Joker movie wishes it could have been. Like, it is like the definitive Joker story. And
Alan Moore, right?
Alan Moore, yes, creator of The Watchmen.
He hates the fact that he wrote this comic.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
No, I was just reading an article about Alan that he did. He doesn't do that many interviews, but he absolutely hates the fact that he wrote this because of what it spawned, which is realism and darkness, and everybody just he became a copycat. And he feels like comic books should be for kids, and he's upset that he put so much violence in this, because now all comic books are like for middle-aged, dudes that live in their mom's basement, and it's like, that's not what the comic books needs to be for kids and for fun. And he really regrets the fact that he wrote this, and he spawned a monster, he birthed a monster writing this comic book.
He's a weird ass guy, though. He's got like some Illuminati theories and shit. He's apparently had this long running feud with Grant Morrison.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I know he hates every adaptation ever of any of his work.
Yeah.
And he's just put his name off of it. He's like, I've lost millions, I know, but I do not want my name associated with any of my work that's been adapted to film.
Right.
He's a wacky dude.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, go ahead. But this is a classic story.
Yeah.
Fuck what Alan Moore said.
Yes, exactly. So it's pretty much the definitive Joker story. It involves the Joker, and I'm talking about the comic book first, because I want to compare the comic book to the film adaptation, which is not that different. But the basic premise is the Joker wants to prove that one bad day can drive even the best person insane. So he chooses Jim Gordon, and he starts by shooting his daughter in the gut and paralyzing her and stripping her naked, maybe raping her, we don't really know, taking pictures of her naked. And he takes Gordon to an amusement park that he's purchased for the sole purpose of torturing one human being, strips him naked, ties him in a dog collar, and Batman comes to the rescue, of course. The interesting thing about it, though, is that despite the fact that the Joker is like fucking with 2 people that he really cares about, and he's hated the guy for so long, he actually, as we see in this GIF here, he actually has genuine compassion for him, because when he realizes the point he's trying to prove, he's like, wait a minute, I had one bad day too. And what did that do to me? So, yeah, I think the comic book is a great work of literature. The movie is pretty much exactly what I just said, except they felt the need to add some emotional context to what happens to Barbara Gordon early in the film, because in the comic book she's not in it very much at all. She's in like 4 panels and then she gets shot and
Yeah, she opens
paralyzed.
the door and boom.
Yeah, that's it. You don't see much of her. And that had emotional impact if you're a comic book reader, because we already know the character well. But the makers of this movie seem to feel like, well, what if the audience doesn't know who Barbara is? We need to explain it. So they added this extra 30-minute long sequence about Barbara and Batgirl and blah, blah, blah. And it was not bad. The only problem I had with it is that it also includes her fucking Batman, which was really not cool.
Yeah, that was weird for me too. I watched this when it came out, and I think that was the consensus for most people, is that they did not like that scene. Like, it just felt incestual.
Yeah. I mean, it's not their age difference, because they're not that far apart.
No, it's the fact that she's like kid sister to him in a way.
Yeah. They have like this family type relationship, and that was like kind of a violation of that.
Exactly. It would be like Batman fucking Robin.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'd watch. I'd watch the porn version of that, but it's not something that realistically we want to see, because Robin's like his son.
Yeah.
You know, he adopts him as his son, and Barbara, who's the original Batgirl, right?
Yeah.
She, it's nasty. We don't want to think about that. So, yeah, I didn't get why you just explained why, but I don't know if it was that necessary. If you're watching a DC animated movie,
you probably know the story.
Exactly. It's a little bit more niche than a major motion picture. Where, okay, then you might have to have an explanation of who this person is and what they mean to the story. But I think Batgirl is pretty much a part of popular culture, though. She was in the 60s show, wasn't she?
She was, yes. Yeah, she was played by Yvonne Elliman, I believe.
And then she was also at the, what's her name?
Alicia Silverstone.
Alicia Silverstone played her in that really crappy movie. So I think most people know that she's Barbara. But I guess the writers maybe it's just because if the comic book, one thing I like about it, and I've read it a ton of times, is that it's short. It's a very compact story.
Yeah, not much happens. It's basically Gordon being tortured.
Yeah, and with flashbacks of the Joker.
Yeah, that's the other important thing, is that there is, like, the Joker gets an origin story. And the nice thing about what Alan Moore does is it's like, okay, what if you like the mystery of the Joker character? You don't want an origin story. They actually insert this caveat where the Joker tells Batman, he's like, I remember what happened to me in different ways sometimes. So he's like, sometimes I remember like one thing happened to me. Sometimes I remember another.
Which Heath Ledger used in
the smile. Why am I smiling?
The Christopher Nolan version.
Exactly.
I didn't say. It took me a while
My
to say.
dog and Nolan Ryan.
And no, that's why I stopped a bit. I was like, I did not want to say Nolan Ryan. I know what the fuck is this guy's name? It's Christopher Nolan. Yeah, because every time he explained why he got the smile, it was a different story.
Yeah.
So even in the comic, you're not sure if this is really how it happened.
Yeah. But we do get this backstory of the Joker, and this is where the Joaquin Phoenix movie went wrong, is that it tells us a beginning to end story, but we already know what the end is. Whereas here we get the story that the Joker movie was trying to tell, but it's just a backstory while he's doing all kinds of fucked up shit in the present.
Exactly.
And that works so much better.
It works so way better. But I agree with you. Like, I watched this movie and it just didn't leave a big impression on me. Obviously, I love the fact that Mark Hamill.
Mark is great in this.
And the Batman, the voice, wasn't that the guy from? That's the original Batman from the animated series, right? Or am I?
I believe.
Yeah, I think they got them both back together. Let me voice actors. Let me see here, guys. Yeah, Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, so those guys are classic. So We got them in there, but it's it's tough to do an adaptation of some stories, and I think this one works well on the panels because it leaves gaps for your imagination. And then when you're doing the animated version, uh-oh, I gotta turn on my, I gotta plug in the computer. Say something there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a case of something that probably works best as a comic book and not as a film, because comic books leave things to your imagination.
Like books. Well, books are the same. The books don't have to be so literal. You know, books. Oh yeah. I believe there's beer being gotten.
Yeah.
I'm back because I moved my computer up to the desk and I forgot to bring the power cord with it. So we were about to lose power. Yeah, so books don't and comics, they don't have to be so literal, and we can leave those gaps where even, I mean, if you take a fight scene in a comic book, you know, you just see a punch being thrown, but you don't have to see every single movement of every little thing that he's doing. So I dig this. I dug it. I mean, it wasn't a bad movie, but it wasn't one that really sparked my imagination. Like in the DC animated universe is awesome, guys. I mean, they make some really, really good movies. And the last one that I saw that I really liked was um, uh, the one where Superman ends up in Russia by mistake. I forgot the name now. Comic. Let me find out what the name is. I think it's Red Sun, right? Yeah, Superman Red Sun, and it was awesome. It was great. They really worked that story, but it's a longer story. This is a short story that they try to buffer with some extra shit, and I don't know if it necessarily worked. That's the issue. And Pete, we're talking about that. Pete and I were talking about that before the podcast because I always say they should hire some of the writers for the animated stuff for the feature films. But even for a feature film, sometimes it doesn't work if you take the animated stuff because you need a longer runtime, so you need to buffer it, and you can't always buffer it with interesting stuff.
I think Christopher Nolan actually though did a really good job with that, because I mean, Batman Begins incorporated Tales of the Demon in year one.
Yeah, but you see, he got like a lot of elements. He didn't take one story.
Right, exactly. It wasn't a literal adaptation.
Yeah.
It took bits and pieces.
Yeah, that's what I was saying the other week when I watched that documentary about the making of the trilogy, because his brother wrote most of it, but he worked with the Batman historian or whatever. And one of the things that the dude said is that he likes the fact that they didn't take just one story and put it on the screen. Take elements, because you can't just do one story. It doesn't translate.
No, and we've seen that like very well in the X-Men franchise, where they've tried to take one story and adapt it to the screen, and often fails miserably.
Yeah, you got to take bits and pieces and see what happens. And continuing with Batman, guys, I did also watch this weekend the Death in the Family, which is a very, very famous story that came out, was it 88, 89, some time around there, where Batman dies. It's the second Batman, right?
Robin.
Not Robin. Not Batman, was it Todd?
Jason Todd.
Yes.
By a fan vote, too. They actually took a fan vote.
1988.
That's cold-blooded, man.
Yeah, 1988 is when it came out. Yeah, they called a 900 number, and you voted on whether you thought that Robin should live or die, and he dies, as we all know. The thing is, this is DC's first interactive movie, similar to that Black Mirror episode.
Right.
What was it called? Something with a B. I forgot.
It had a weird fucking game.
Yes, I actually never got it. You said you got a chance to watch it,
I
right?
did watch it, yeah, but I downloaded it, so I didn't get the interactive version. I just basically got like every possible scenario.
Bandersnatch.
That's it, yeah.
Bandersnatch. Yeah, that's why I didn't even bother watching it because I was like, man, I'm not going to be able to click on anything to play the interactive version of it, so I didn't even bother watching it. And I guess that's why I didn't like this one because I just downloaded it and it was like 38 minutes or something long. And it was like a therapy session, you know.
But that was just the version you got.
Exactly. Though. That's what I'm thinking now. Because only after that I read up on it, and because as soon as any of these come out, man, I'm on it like butter on toast. What's the analogy? I forgot what it is. Um, But yeah, I'm on these quick, you know, as soon as I see Justin, by the way, you know, props to Justin because he always posts like new stuff that's out. I don't know where he gets this stuff, man, but he puts stuff out quick. As soon as I see there's a DC one, like when Pete came here the other day, I was watching Batman and the Ninja Turtles. Red Sun, which is really good. Have you seen Red Sun?
No.
That's a good one. That's a great story. That's the one where Superman, he comes down to Earth, but he lands in Russia instead of America. So he becomes like this Stalin's. It's a great story. He becomes like Stalin's pet boy.
I would like to see that.
Oh, you would love it. You download that one. That was a really good one, and it's long, but that one works better because the comic book Red Sun is that the story is a little bit longer, so there's a lot more to work on as far as material. So I'm on these. So as soon as he posted it, I was like, oh, I gotta watch this. And yeah, I wasn't into it. So anybody out there that's done the interactive version, I would love to hear it in the comments what your thoughts were on it. But if you get the hard version of it, like no, actually you gotta buy the hard disk version in order to watch this. But if you happen to download it, or if you're watching it on DC Films or whatever their version of Netflix is, not really worth it, you know, because it doesn't really give the story of how Robin ended up in that predicament. Like according to the comics, there's a whole lot of backstory. Like Robin thinks that his mom's still alive. He ends up like in Palestine or something looking for the Joker. Like the Joker, it's a weird story, man. Like the Joker decides that he wants to get into politics. So he's selling like these weapons, you know, these nuclear weapons or something to like these Middle Eastern terrorists. And with the money, he's going to set up this fund to become a politician. And he actually does it. He gets immunity. He becomes like becomes the Iranian or the Iraqi ambassador at the United Nations. It's like a wacky story. And then we find out that all of Jason Todd's moms are all involved in some sort of like dirty dealings. Like it ends up that his mom still is alive, and his mom is actually directly responsible for his death because she's working with the Joker. And, you know, Batman just shows up too late and he gets blown up. This version, at least the version I saw, just cut that out completely. It just had Batman getting there too late and then him just crying about it for like 20 minutes and having a therapy session with Clark Kent, which isn't a big spoiler, guys, because it's clear that it's Clark Kent that he talks to, even though they keep doing this back, like this shoulder shot where you can't see who it is that he's talking to. And then he tells about the rest of the story, which is from that movie, The Red Hood, which is a good one. That's a good one. If you get a chance to watch the movie The Red Hood, it's really nice. But then they just took clips of The Red Hood, which, in case you don't know, spoilers. We find out
that's the Joker.
No, it isn't the Joker. It's Todd.
Oh,
because Ra's al Ghul is upset because Ra's al Ghul decided to work with the Joker to do this, whatever their scheme was. But you don't work with the Joker. He's insane.
Yeah.
So he feels bad that Todd got mixed in with this all. And he kind of, out of respect to Batman, he brings Robin back in the Lazarus Pit.
Okay.
And then just at the Lazarus Pit fucks with Todd's head, and he comes back as this character called the Red Hood, and he just wreaks havoc in Gotham. And it's the whole mystery, like, who's the Red Hood? And Batman slowly starts to put it together because he's like, he escaped my grappling hook, he knows all my moves, so he's like, it's impossible, but I've seen a whole lot of shit, so this is the only probable
he's the world's greatest detective.
Yeah, the only probable solution to this is that this Red Hood is Todd somehow. Even I thought he died, but apparently he didn't. So that's a really good story. That's a classic story. Let me get that. And so this movie, like the second half of it, is pretty much retelling that, which I've seen already. So I give it a thumbs down. But if you happen to have watched the interactive version of it, leave something in the comments. Let me know if you think it's cool, because I probably won't get around to watching it anytime soon. And because I like this interactive shit. When you were a kid, Pete, did you ever read those books, Choose Your Own Adventure?
I had them all. I had like the first 26. The Cave of Time. The Cave of Time.
Yes, I remember this. And what's the one with the ants? Wasn't there one with these big ants or something?
Yeah, the one with the big ants was cool. Also, the Mayan one was really good.
Oh, I think I remember the Mayan one. That was a pretty cool one. So these Choose Your Adventure books were really cool. And so I dig stuff like that, Choose Your Adventure stuff. So I'd be curious to watch it. But off of just whatever you get, if you either download it or torrent it or go to some streaming site or the DC film, I think they created like a Netflix type channel for themselves, you might not dig it. So, that's it for that. So let's get off of Batman. Although I can't wait for the Batman to come out at some point in hopefully whenever.
Yeah.
I
know. Fucking Bond, Black Widow, everything's pushed back.
I know. Wonder Woman. Ugh. Although cinemas are open here in Brazil.
Are they really?
Yes, they are. There's just nothing good to see. But they've officially opened cinemas. Let's get to this.
That's a good scene too. Menstruation.
And this is a boy or a girl?
That's
or
a girl. This guy's a boy.
Okay, I thought it was a non-binary.
No, he's our hero actually.
Okay.
Like I said, this movie is mostly about a boy becoming a man.
The 20th century women.
Yeah. When you look at a title like this, you think that it's going to be like a total feminist girl power movie, but the movie actually revolves around a boy. And it's mostly about female influence on young boys' development.
Mm-hmm.
The necessity of it, I would almost say. Our girl Annette Bening, who's kind of buried off to the right there, she's a single mother. She had him when she was 40. The movie's set in 1979, and she was born in 1924. So she's about 55, raising a 15-year-old son as a single mother. And she's having, because of their age difference, she really can't connect to him. She doesn't have like a man in her life, so she doesn't have like the father figure that she wants for him. There's not just a generation gap, there's a generations gap. Like they're hugely separated in age. And she basically tries to involve like other women in her life to compensate for the lack of a father figure and have them take on that role. And the two main characters, the two main female characters, are the redheaded chick is a tenant who lives in their house. Basically, she rents out rooms in the house to help pay the bills. This chick, she's like 24. She's recovering from cervical cancer, and she's kind of like a big sister to our protagonist. She gets him into punk rock. She turns him on to feminist literature, and she really tries to mentor him. The other character, the blonde chick, she's 17, so she's 2 years older than him. She's his best friend. She's very promiscuous with everyone but him, of course. And this is the thing, guys. We've all had this friend in the past, the chick who sleeps with everyone but you. But you're her rock.
Yeah, you're the friend zone, the ultimate friend zone.
Yeah, and what she does is she sneaks into his bedroom at night and she sleeps with him. But she refuses to have sex because that would ruin their friendship.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But she talks about her sex with like everyone else that she's fucking. And like, oh my God, you can see like, it's not her fault. She's 17, she's young, she's confused, but she's totally grinding this poor kid's heart into dust. And the older chick, the redhead, she sees this happening and she's like, man, you can't let her do this to you. Like, you've got to set boundaries. And it's told with a after the fact narrative. Like, actually, Annette Bening's character narrates at one point, like, in 10 years' time, I will die from lung cancer. So this is all like very much told after the fact and as a memory of these experiences. And it's basically, apparently it was autobiographical. The screenwriter based it on his life, and it feels genuine. It's a true story of a guy saying like, hey, you like for a boy to become a man, like you do need women's influence just as much as you need male influence.
Yeah, it's like a comedy. This is more from your A24 list.
So, yes, it is.
So you're just going down that list. This is 2016, so you're getting to the end, of this list.
Well, not really. I'm about halfway, I think.
Yeah, because 2016, when did they start making movies?
2014.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and I've seen like about 40 already.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's a small budget. Yeah, I might check this out. I kind of dig stuff like that. Reminded me of a movie, The Ice Storm. Some bread.
That's just the cornbread. That's okay. I'll get it.
Cornbread.
But yeah, like this scene right here. She brings up the topic that she's menstruating at the dinner table, and Annette Bening gets really upset about it. She's like, we don't need that kind of talk at the table. And she's like, what's wrong with it? Just say it. Menstruation. And she makes everybody say menstruation in unison.
Did you ever see this movie? 1997, kind of reminded, and is Annette Bening in this movie too? It's by Ang Lee, The Ice Storm, 1997, American drama film directed by Ang Lee. And it's Kevin Kline, Joan Allen, Tobey Maguire. Wow, he's in there. Christina Ricci. I know Elijah Wood was in there. Katie Holmes, Sigourney Weaver. It's set in 1973. It's about two dysfunctional New Canaan, Connecticut upper-class families are trying to deal with the tumultuous social changes of the early 70s and their escapism through alcohol, adultery, and sexual experimentation. Like the way you're describing it, although this movie is way more serious. Yours, I think, is a bit more comedy.
It has a lot of humor.
Yeah. But this is an interesting movie. So I watched this in the theater way back in the day. So I might dig watching something like this. There's another kind of cute family movie. It's a little cheesier though, with Jodie Foster, where she goes home for Thanksgiving dinner. You ever see that one?
I don't think so.
Jodie Foster Thanksgiving movie. It's rare.
Are you sure?
Home for the Holidays, 1995.
Oh yeah, I have seen that.
Kind of cute.
I could have sworn that was Holly Hunter though.
No, that's Jodie. Directed by her, but I think she started in it. Oh no, you're right. It is Holly Hunter. My bad. I had Jodie in my mind because she directed and produced the movie, but Holly Hunter stars in it. Yeah, you're right. But this is kind of a cute movie. I like little family movies like this every once in a while, even though this is a different type of family dynamic. But I can relate to it because my parents were way older than me, so there was just shit that they couldn't talk to me about because they just didn't know how to.
Yeah,
Because I was adopted when my mom was 42, so when I was in my teens, she was nearing 60. So you can put it in here. By the way, I'm talking about his notebook, guys. He can put it in the shelf, you dirty bastards. Um, so I lived that, because it was just a different. It's not just one generation; it's a couple generations. So I wasn't hugged as a child. Like my parents weren't my best friends. My parents
yeah,
were like, "I'm putting food on the table," and that let you know that I love you.
yeah,
You have a bed to sleep in at night. And that also lets you know that I love you. But we don't need to be saying, I love you, I love you, I love you so much.
yeah.
Which is probably why I'm kind of a cold bastard.
And there
Too.
is like a punk element to this film as well.
Yeah.
Like I said, the redhead chick, she turns him on to punk, and he's like
Yeah.
going to gigs, and like his mom, she's really trying. She's a liberal. She's like very understanding. She
Mhm.
wants to be,
Yeah.
but like when it comes to like punk, she's like she just doesn't understand it. There's actually a great scene where her and one of the other tenants, they get a Black Flag record and try and
Oh,
listen
nice.
to it and try and understand like what is it that this kid sees in this shit.
Uh-huh. No, I get that. Yeah, because that's how it was pretty much with me. It was with, I had my brother, my sister they weren't old enough to be my parents, but they were closer in age, like as far as what could have been my parents, like maybe 15 years difference, more or less. And yeah, so all the cultural stuff I got from them. My sister was more into the esoteric stuff, so all the Hermann Hesse and philosophy and all that stuff, the literature I got from her. My brother more into music, so I got all that from him. And my sister's friends, which when Pete mentioned the Killing Joke, I mentioned this lesbian friend. My sister had this lesbian friend who gave me my first copy of the Killing Joke for a birthday gift when I was about 12. And she was the first lesbian that I ever met in my life, and she was so cool. Sadly, passed away. She had some substance abuse issues, and she committed suicide. But but yeah, I kind of had to learn from other people those aspects of growing up, which was nice, and I'm sure my parents were in on it because I never had the talk with my parents. It would be with my sister or my brother and stuff like that, which is really cool. So that would be interesting. I might actually watch this sooner rather than later. And then, guys, to finish off, because it is getting late, and my gift's not working. Fuck. This little head's supposed to come up, and we're supposed to see a zombie come out, but hey, it's not happening. We're talking Kingdom. Kingdom, which Pete started talking about a couple weeks ago, but his net was really bad, and I had meant to watch this show long time ago when it first came out. I just never got around to it. And then this weekend, we have a long weekend here in Brazil because of the holiday. And I have like one extra day off because tomorrow's Teacher's Day, so I don't work at the high school. So I was like, you know what? Let me get some movies in. And I finally finished Cobra Kai, which I thought was cool at the end because I know I was talking shit about Cobra Kai at the beginning. And I was like, let me watch this shit. And man, oh man, did I love it. I absolutely loved I binged it. I binged it in 2 days. I watched season one night, watched season 2 last night.
Damn.
I know it was so good though. I couldn't stop pressing play. When I like something, man, it's like that. I just one after the other. And what I dug about it is that it reminded me of the early days of The Walking Dead, like with that freshness, that intensity, that realism.
It's got a good backstory too,
Yes.
like the magic flower and the Hawan dynasty trying to subvert the royal family.
Yeah. So Pete brings that up, and it gets me to the second part about it that I loved is that it also gave me some Game of Thrones feel to it. I was like, wait, this is like best of both worlds. It's like
Yeah.
it's giving me like my old school Walking Dead back when it was a little bit more grounded in reality, and it's also giving me my political drama, which was, I guess you could argue, was Game of Thrones before it kind of went off of reality. I don't know why that happens sometimes when I put a GIF, like it works and then it doesn't work here, but whatever. But it's a pretty cool GIF of the zombie coming up.
Yeah.
Um, and so if you are fans of either one of those shows, I think that this is a show that you'll dig. This is a show that you'll dig. It's well written. I know, unfortunately, motherfuckers don't like to read. Yes, it is in Korean, and there's no dubbed version that I know of, so you're gonna have to read some subtitles.
Well, that's a good thing, actually.
I agree. Read, people. Reading is good for you. Can you believe when Star Trek Discovery came out, there were people complaining that to bring some realism to it, like the Klingons, they weren't translated. They spoke in Klingon, and then they had English subtitles.
Yeah.
And there were people complaining about that. I was like, yo, motherfuckers, like, read. Sorry, I'm being extremely judgmental, but...
No, I was watching La Casa de Papel, and like one of my biggest fucking struggles watching that show, because there is a dubbed version.
Yeah.
And like after having seen like the first 2 seasons in Spanish,
yeah,
and enjoying like seeing these actors and hearing them speak their natural lines, even if I can't understand them, I appreciate that I'm seeing the actors like really speak their voices.
Yeah.
When you get a version where you got like somebody just talking over their voices, it's almost a bastardization to me.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work as well. But I will say this: I'll give dubbing a little bit of props because actually Brazilian dubbers are really good. And I say that only because when my little cousin comes over, I do watch some stuff with him dubbed, like Game of Thrones. Because he started watching that when he was little, and it's a lot to read. So I was like, okay, I'll give him a break. And I actually got into it. Like the Brazilian dubbers are really, 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 really good. And actually, I think they just recently won an award, like whatever the Oscars of dubbing is. They just won an award. And even like I think Hugh Jackman was down here once, and he met like his Brazilian dubber, and they're like, they were really close at one point. So I don't want to disparage the work of dubbers because some of them actually do a really good job, and they actually go in there with the idea of I'm going to act. I'm actually going to do my best to really transmit whatever the emotion is, and it's not like watching those old karate movies from the 1960s, 70s where the guy's mouth is still moving. It's like, I'm going to get you. No, I will kill you first. It's nothing like that. So there's an artistry to it. So I don't want to, and I'll give another prop. The guys that do South Park in Portuguese are really good. The Simpsons, not so much. The Simpsons is horrible in Portuguese. It totally, it's what you said. It changes it changes the show. Like the Simpsons in Portuguese is like, it's like a kid's show, all the irony, the cynicism is out of it.
There's a lot of cultural context in The Simpsons.
It is, but they managed to do it better with South Park. So there's an artistry to it. I don't want to shit too much on it, but guys, get over that. And I'll give you some, like the silver lining is that there's a lot of action in this show. So you don't actually have to read that much. The lines are quick. They don't talk that much to each other. There's I can't remember one monologue in this. I don't think they do a lot of monologuing.
I think the once prince actually, the prince and his little buddy, as long as he lasts.
Well, watch it.
Yeah. Sorry.
You go. You can go.
They have a few nice little speeches.
Yeah.
Especially like when the prince is trying to get everyone all fired up. He's like, "Look, motherfuckers, you've been lied to.
Yeah.
You've been lied to. I'm not trying to take the throne.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get these motherfuckers. I don't want the throne.
Yeah.
I just want to get these bastards.
So just backstory on the story, because it's a really cool story. So this is set in like ancient Korea.
It's like about 15th century, I think.
15th century. And there's supposedly the king is dead. Everybody thinks that there's a rumor that the king is dead, but everybody within the inner circle of the king say, no, he's not dead. And but in fact, we soon find out that this is all a ruse, okay, and that the king is a zombie, okay, and I don't want to give away too much,
who's being fed corpses.
Who's being fed corpses, okay, but this is right at the beginning, so it's not mega spoilers. But
we know
this
fairly early.
Yeah, just so you get an idea of what the setup is, and the queen is like the mega bitch from hell, and she's on it.
She's hot.
Yes, she is. She's very beautiful. And this guy Lord Cho Hak Ju, which I'm probably best destroying these people's names, but Lord Cho, he is the chief state counselor, and his clan is the one that wants to take power. They're the ones that are power hungry, and they're using the fact that the king is still alive. Why? Because the queen is pregnant, definitely pregnant.
Yes.
And if the baby is born, then the baby is going to be the new king, and not this Li Chang, Crown Prince Li Chang, because apparently he was he's like he's the son of the king, but I think the king may have fucked somebody else.
Yeah, he's a bastard.
He's a bastard child. So it's almost like a little Jon Snow thing going.
Yes.
With that. So Chang kind of runs away because he wants to find out what really happened to his father. And then we realize that this plague is spreading all across the kingdom.
All because of a flower.
All because of this flower that resurrects people from the dead. Later we find out why they use this flower for some chemical warfare. So, dude, it goes into that's what got me into this show, because this came out in 2019. I'm watching it now with the current pandemic.
Yeah.
Out of China.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I don't think you got that far into season 2, but they blame China for bringing, because they're saying there was these guys that were going up to China, and China was selling these seeds to the Koreans. Right. So I know some people on my Facebook feed have talked about how they received these weird seeds from China. Have you ever seen people talk about this?
No.
How these mysterious seeds, look at this, mysterious seeds from China. There's like even in major stories. The U.S. Department of Agriculture China on Plant Health Inspections has identified 14 varieties of mysterious seeds purportedly sent from China to U.S. citizens who didn't order them. This is from Fortune.com. It's in the New York Times. U.S. identifies some of the mysterious seeds mailed from China. And I have a friend who's received them, and she's like, what is up with this? So all of this, I'm watching this is a show from 2019. It's like they're predicting everything that's going on now in trying to contain this pandemic, and using these zombies for chemical warfare in a way. I mean, even though they've turned people into zombies using the seed. So, like I was telling Pete, if you take out the zombie aspect of this show, I would still watch it because it's fucking interesting. And I used to be into those Korean soap operas.
Oh my God, my girlfriend was so into those.
No, but the ones that were set in like Imperial times.
Yeah.
Oh, I love them. I used to watch them all the time. So I dig this stuff already. And then so you add that plus the zombie aspect, and they're fast zombies, which is so much better.
They're fast, and the production value is amazing.
Exactly, and even better in season 2. They got a new director in season 2, and it's even better than season 1.
One of my favorite episodes is actually the one where the boat goes missing.
Oh, yes.
And it washes up in a village, and they bury everyone because they're at that time the zombies are night walkers.
Yes.
They can't walk in the day. So
yes.
they think they're dead, so they bury them. And then they take the prince out to kill him because he's going to turn them in for robbing the boat.
Yes.
And all the zombies come out of the fucking ground.
Oh, yeah. No, it's intense, dude. And the zombie attacks are so well staged, so well blocked, very action packed, and it's stuff that I kind of miss from The Walking Dead, because The Walking Dead, I mean, the season finale was okay, but they haven't had good zombie scenes in a while. Well, season 9 did.
Yes,
you know, they brought some good horror stuff back, but for a long time, you know, like think back to like season 1, season 2. Remember that, like the opening of The Walking Dead, where they were stuck inside the department store.
Yes,
and like it was like you were
where they were stuck on the rooftop, and it's like, how the fuck are we gonna get out?
Exactly, like,
and you had Merle being a total dick.
Exactly, like the zombies were a real threat for the beginning of The Walking Dead, and this show has that feeling of that. Although what I like, and I think that's why this show might be able to last a little bit longer, with, you know, still maintaining the level of excitement and intrigue. One, because it's only 6 episodes per season, so they don't have a lot of buffer and a lot of filler. But 2, because they make a real effort to not focus on the zombies. It's like, so it's more about
another problem.
It's just another problem in the kingdom. Like, it's like the main issue is oh, you need this shit? Oh, you got it. The main issue is the political intrigue and the political backstabbing and everything that's going on. And we just happen to have, and you can just, there's zombies, but you can just think of it as a plague, you know, a famine or whatever, you know, like you can replace zombies for anything and it would still work. So when the zombies do come up, and wait till you get to the season finale. Oh my goodness, is it good? It'll bring you back some Game of Thrones, when they went up to way past the wall. Remember when they were on that ice?
Yeah.
I think they got a little inspiration from that, but I like this version a little bit better, what they did with it. So when the zombies do come, it just adds this extra impact, because they're kind of in the background. There's at least 2 episodes where I don't even think you see them, but you don't miss them. Right. You know, it's like, because the political intrigue is so good. And another thing that I thought was great that they did, and a lot of zombie movies or shows tend to shy away from, is that they explained very clearly what the origin of the zombies are, how to cure it. You know, so you would think, oh, this is going to take away the mystery of the zombies, but it doesn't. It actually makes it even more interesting, because, you know, we have this issue. This is where it came from. This is how we fix it. How do we go about fixing it for everybody? So I like that they took it to that level, which is something I wish The Walking Dead would have done, because I know in season 1, I think they went to the CDC, and it was a really great episode.
Noah Emmerich was in that one.
That was a great episode. I was like, oh shit, we may actually get this idea of where this came from, how to fix it, and that could be a direction that the show goes into. Or when they were in the with the governor, I think there was that weird scientist.
He was pretty close to figuring it out.
Yeah, and I was like, I wish that the show would have gone into that. Not that, I mean, the direction that they went to was pretty good for a while, but then it gets soap opera-y. Yeah. You know, that's the problem. If you don't do that, it turns into a soap opera and it can get boring. And this doesn't really lend its way to a soap opera. It lends its way to just like this political juggernaut.
It's very clinical, although I have to say, of all the best zombie explanations, one of my personal favorites is Shaun of the Dead, where they have figured it out, but every time they're about to explain it, something happens and you just don't get to hear it. It's like, it's a joke. It's like, okay, the zombie epidemic has been explained, but you're not going to get to hear it.
I just saw Shaun of the Dead for the first time this year, and I had a good time with it. That was such a good movie.
Man.
It was a really funny movie. But this show proves that you can work with explaining shit and still it's still interesting. Just like, well, going back to The Killing Joke. I mean, it explains the origin, but because like what Pete just said, it's so clinical and it's so well put together, it doesn't take away any of the Joker's mystique by giving us that supposed backstory of how he was created, which is tough. I mean, a lot of people are afraid to give origin stories
Yeah,
because of
no, I
that.
remember like a major revolt when they published Wolverine Origins. They
Hmm.
all of a sudden he's James Howlett now,
Hmm.
and he's got this whole backstory, and like all the mystery is gone. But at the same time, the guy's got like 150 years of history. Like, there's a lot of mystery in there. So
Yeah,
just because they gave you that story doesn't take away from any of his mystique.
exactly. And sometimes it can actually add to it. It can add to explaining why this character acts this way and even make you, it'll give you more compassion for them, like with Batman. That's like probably the most well known. It's almost like it's reality. It's like part of just the human consciousness that we all know. His parents got killed in the alley, and it doesn't take anything away from him. It actually adds to his character because you feel for him when he's being a total prick. But you're like, but we understand that's where it comes from. And it may be right, it may be wrong, his decisions that he's made since then. But it's an element that I think if we didn't know Batman's origin story, we'd be like, why is this guy such a prick? Why is he going out in the middle of the night? Like, it helps.
Well, that's the irony of Batman as a character, and something that comes out really well in The Killing Joke is that the Joker is fascinated
Yeah.
by who he is, because he has no idea who Bruce Wayne is. He doesn't know what happened to him. And he's making all these guesses during The Killing Joke. He's like,
Yeah.
what happened to you? Did your brother get killed by the mob?
Mhm.
Was it a girlfriend?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
he's just taking shots in the dark, but he's like, I know something bad happened to you, just like it happened to me.
Yeah. And it connects them.
Yeah.
They're two sides of the same coin. So definitely recommend Kingdom. I don't. It's slated for season 3, so apparently it's found an audience. But keep watching because, especially nowadays, Netflix is cutting shows, man.
Oh, I know. I can't believe they killed Glow, man. That was brutal.
Yes, I saw that the writer, the head writer, was asking for them to at least let them make a movie
Yeah,
to kind of give it a
I
proper
thought
send off.
actually that season had been filmed already, but apparently not.
Yeah, so support this show, guys, because it is awesome. It's got fast zombies, which I appreciate. I just like fast zombies better than slow ones. You can only do so much with slow zombies, man. I mean, eventually, if you can't figure out how to escape slow zombies, then you deserve to die. Seriously, now fast zombies, that's scary. That's scary. And these are very fast and and there's a lot of twists and turns and everything. And well acted show. So that's it for tonight, y'all. Don't forget that. Oh shit! What is today? This Thursday I'll be on because the season premiere of Star Trek Discovery. Dave,
which I have started watching.
oh, then I don't want to tell you what happens in season 3. Well, it's not okay.
I'm 3 episodes into the first season.
Okay, a lot of twists and turns, but eventually they end up in the far future. Okay, so we got Star Trek Discovery in the far future, and we'll see what they do with it because for the first season or the first 2 seasons, all the annoying Star Trek fans were just like, "Oh, it's not canon. It's not. It doesn't align with canon. It's not. The technology is too, because it's supposed to be a prequel before Captain Kirk." And
Oh, is it really?
that's when it's set.
To me, it seems like way more advanced, man. Those ships look fucking ace.
I know, but that was a major complaint. Is that the ship? Well, this ship in particular, we find out it's kind of like a Black Ops type deal,
Right.
with that spore drive, which I wasn't a big fan of.
Right.
Eventually, they get rid of all. It explains why it is that we've never heard of this Captain Kirk onward, or at least it makes an attempt to. But season 3 is upon us with the ship and its crew got blown way into the future, like 2,000 years or whatever, 3,000 years into the future. The Federation is no more. So I am really interested because that's something that we haven't had. We haven't had any Star Trek that's past. Well, Star Trek Picard was past Nemesis, but we haven't had anything like really like what happens
post-Federation.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see what they do with it, and they can pretty much write their own canon now. I mean, they're in the future. There's nothing that they're beholden to make sure that. Oh, you can't say this line because Captain Kirk would have never known about this and that, which is it's frustrating, I'm sure, for the writers. So we'll see where it goes. So I'll be on Thursday night after the premiere. And on Sunday nights, I'm on talking Lovecraft Countries. Season finale is this Sunday. And as always, every Monday, I'm with Pete. We just happen to be in the same place right now, but usually he's at his house. I'm at mine. And that's it, y'all. Have some beers like we have been having. Enjoy your Columbus Day weekend that Pete is celebrating.
Yes, even though I'm Canadian and it's actually Thanksgiving in Canada, so happy.
Pete is an insensitive white person, guys.
Yes.
Just let that be known. It's
Christopher
on record.
Columbus is a fucking hero in this house.
He's it's on record that he's an insensitive white guy. Well, happy Indigenous Day to everybody else. And that's it. See y'all next time. Bye. Let's end this broadcast.